The great opera singers, people it matures. It's in their late 40s, early 50s where they're really at the peak of their career.
In the golden glow of country music's biggest stages lurked a perfectionist with standards as high as the Rocky Mountains he sang about.
In your laughter, let me die in your arms.
John Denver, the folk rock icon known for Take Me Home, Country Roads, and Rocky Mountain High, wasn't just a gentle troubadour with wire-rimmed glasses and acoustic guitar melodies. He was also a man who held surprisingly fierce opinions about his musical contemporaries. Welcome to another episode of Offstage Tales, where today we're diving into the shocking world of John Denver and the 6 bands who reportedly earned his musical contempt. The Colorado-loving mastermind behind classics like Annie's Song and Sunshine on My Shoulders was known for his uncompromising artistic vision, a vision that apparently clashed dramatically with several major acts.
To go on for a child like that, and it was my guitar and singing that helped me to make friends.
Music should uplift the human spirit, Denver allegedly told Billboard in 1976. When it doesn't serve that purpose, it becomes meaningless noise. And for Denver, quite a few chart toppers fell into that latter category. From alleged recording studio confrontations to bitter award show snubs, Denver's relationships with these bands reveal not just personal animosity, but deeper philosophical divides about music's purpose. Some of these feuds simmered beneath his wholesome public image, others exploded in industry circles, but all of them expose a surprisingly combative side to America's favorite folk singer. So grab your hiking boots and let's count down the 6 bands that made Denver's peaceful, easy feeling turn absolutely hostile. 6. The Eagles, coming in at number 6 on our countdown, is a name that might genuinely shock you: the Eagles.
You can spend all your time making money.
Yes, the legendary rock band behind Hotel California and Take It Easy reportedly earned John Denver's quiet but persistent disdain despite sharing similar California-influenced sounds and folk rock roots. The rivalry allegedly began in the mid-1970s when both acts were dominating the charts.
No, I really don't have any problems with that. I think my musicians sometimes are a little disgusted with me for that.
According to music journalist Cameron Crowe, Denver reportedly told friends at a Malibu party, "They've taken everything pure about country rock and turned it into a corporate product." The comment supposedly spread through industry circles faster than wildfire through Colorado pines. What bothered Denver wasn't just the Eagles' music, but what it represented. While Denver was crafting songs about environmental consciousness and spiritual connection to nature, the Eagles were finding massive success with what Denver reportedly called lifestyle rock, music that celebrated excess rather than simplicity. There's a difference between singing about the land and singing about owning it, Denver allegedly told Rolling Stone in 1977, without naming names. But insiders claimed the barb was aimed directly at the Eagles' materialistic themes. The tension reportedly peaked at the 1977 Grammy Awards when Denver allegedly refused to present an award to the Eagles, claiming scheduling conflicts. Witnesses say he watched their acceptance speech from backstage with visible frustration. Don Henley seemed oblivious to Denver's feelings, later praising his songwriting after Denver's tragic death. Whether the Eagles knew it or not, they represented everything Denver opposed: commercialization over authenticity, cynicism over optimism, and corporate rock over heartfelt expression. At number 5, we have the shock rock legends themselves, Kiss. This musical rivalry is particularly fascinating because it involved 2 acts who couldn't have been more different in their approach to entertainment and artistic expression.
'Cause girl, you were made for me.
Their paths first crossed meaningfully in 1976 when both acts were climbing the charts. According to Denver's former manager Jerry Weintraub, Denver allegedly dismissed Kiss after seeing them on television, saying, "They've turned music into a circus act. Where's the soul in all that makeup?" The comment reportedly made its way back to the band.
And all of the members of the Calypso down in Belize in Central America.
What made Denver's alleged dislike particularly pointed out was how Kiss represented everything he stood against: theatrical excess over authentic emotion, volume over melody, and spectacle over substance. Denver reportedly saw Kiss as manufactured entertainment rather than genuine artistry. Music should connect people to something deeper than pyrotechnics, Denver reportedly told Melody Maker in 1977, in what many interpreted as a direct shot at Kiss's elaborate stage shows. The tension allegedly reached its peak at a 1978 industry party where Denver and Gene Simmons found themselves at the same table. According to witnesses, Denver reportedly asked, "Do you ever just play music, or is it always about the show?" Simmons allegedly responded with typical bravado, leading Denver to excuse himself early. Gene Simmons seemed unfazed by any criticism, later calling Denver a talented songwriter after his death. But for Denver, Kiss represented the commercialization of rock and roll, turning music into a product rather than an art form that could inspire environmental consciousness and human connection. Number 4, Led Zeppelin. Number 4 spot belongs to the British rock titans themselves, Led Zeppelin. This rivalry showcased Denver's contempt for what he saw as musical excess without purpose or meaning.
Every day I work so hard, bringing home my hard-earned pay.
The tension reportedly began in the mid-1970s when both acts were dominating different segments of the music world. During a backstage encounter at a festival in 1975, Denver supposedly told a reporter, "They mistake volume for emotion and chaos for creativity."
I hope to record it with him, and I would like to do the song. I think it's such a wonderful song. I'd like to do it with someone in.
The comment made its way through industry circles, cementing their philosophical divide. According to music producer Glyn Johns, Denver was particularly irritated by Led Zeppelin's blues appropriation and thunderous live performances. Johns said they were taking beautiful Delta blues traditions and turning them into stadium spectacle, Johns revealed in a 1990 interview. Denver reportedly felt they were exploiting musical heritage without understanding its spiritual significance. The conflict intensified when Denver witnessed their infamous hotel room destruction stories making headlines. "Music should heal the world, not tear it apart," Denver reportedly told Rolling Stone in 1976, without naming names but clearly referencing the band's notorious behavior. What truly cemented Denver's dislike was an incident at a 1977 industry dinner where Robert Plant supposedly made jokes about Denver's environmental activism, calling it hippie nonsense. Denver reportedly left the event early, telling his manager, "Some people just don't understand what music is supposed to accomplish." Despite the tension, after Denver's death, Jimmy Page acknowledged his songwriting talent in interviews. The rivalry ultimately reflected Denver's frustration with artists who he felt used music for destruction rather than inspiration, volume rather than message, and ego rather than enlightenment. 3. Bee Gees. Sliding into the number 3 position on Denver's dislike list is the entire disco movement, specifically epitomized by the Bee Gees and their massive influence on late 1970s popular music.
Far from me, I wanna feel you in my arms again.
The tension reached its peak during disco's dominance from 1977 to 1979, when Denver watched his folk rock style get overshadowed by four-on-the-floor beats and orchestral arrangements. According to former record executive Clive Davis, Denver once said at a label meeting, "They've turned music into a factory assembly line. Where's the human connection in all those strings and synthesizers?" What particularly frustrated Denver was disco's emphasis on danceability over lyrical meaning. While he crafted songs about environmental consciousness and spiritual awakening, the Bee Gees were topping charts with tracks designed purely for nightclub consumption. Denver reportedly felt this represented everything wrong with the music industry's direction. At a 1978 industry dinner, Denver supposedly encountered Barry Gibb and made his feelings clear. "Music should make people think, not just move," he reportedly told the Bee Gees frontman, who responded that dancing was its own form of spiritual expression. Denver reportedly walked away from the conversation visibly frustrated. The conflict intensified when Denver's album sales began declining during disco's peak years. According to his biographer John Collis, Denver told friends, They've convinced people that artifice is better than authenticity, that production is more important than passion. After disco's eventual decline, Denver never publicly celebrated its downfall, but close associates reported he felt vindicated. The rivalry ultimately reflected Denver's belief that music should serve higher purposes than mere entertainment, connecting souls rather than just moving bodies on dance floors. 2. The Sex Pistols. Claiming the number 2 spot on Denver's alleged enemy list is the entire punk rock movement, with the Sex Pistols serving as the perfect embodiment of everything he reportedly despised about the genre's nihilistic approach to music. The clash became evident in 1977 when punk was exploding across America, just as Denver was promoting his environmental activism through music. According to music journalist Lester Bangs, Denver reportedly said at a record industry conference, "They're using music to tear down everything beautiful in the world. Music should build bridges, not burn them." What truly enraged Denver was punk's deliberate rejection of musical craftsmanship and positive messaging.
Rocky Mountain High, there's a period in August when there's the 12th to the 15th is the Perseid meteor shower. And I took
While he spent years perfecting his guitar work and writing uplifting lyrics about nature and human connection, the Sex Pistols were deliberately playing simple, aggressive songs with titles like "Anarchy in the UK" and "God Save the Queen." The tension peaked during a 1978 television appearance when both Denver and Sex Pistols manager Malcolm McLaren were guests on the same talk show. Denver reportedly told McLaren backstage, "Your bands are poisoning young minds with hatred and destruction." McLaren supposedly laughed and called Denver's music boring middle-class fantasy. According to Denver's manager Jerry Weintraub, John was particularly disturbed by Johnny Rotten's sneering vocal style and anti-establishment lyrics. "He told me punk rock was the opposite of everything music should represent," Weintraub recalled in his memoir. Even decades later, Denver never softened his stance on punk, reportedly telling friends that the movement had damaged an entire generation's relationship with melody and hope. 1. Black Sabbath. Taking the top spot as John Denver's most despised musical enemy is the heavy metal genre itself, with Black Sabbath representing everything he found morally and artistically offensive about rock music's darker direction. The rivalry traced back to the early 1970s when both Denver and Black Sabbath were rising to prominence with completely opposite messages.
Into that, and I really don't want to be a part of supporting that. You know, the people who do concerts like myself, we're the ones who can raise the big money now.
According to Rolling Stone editor Jan Wenner, Denver once said, "They've taken the devil's music literally. Music should celebrate God's creation, not worship darkness." What made this feud particularly intense was Denver's deep Christian faith clashing with Black Sabbath's occult imagery and doom-laden lyrics. While Denver sang about sunshine, mountains, and spiritual joy, Ozzy Osbourne was wailing about paranoia, war pigs, and Iron Men. Denver reportedly saw this as a direct assault on music's healing power. The conflict reached legendary status after a 1975 incident at a music industry party where Denver supposedly confronted Tony Iommi directly. "You're leading children into spiritual darkness," Denver reportedly told the guitarist, who responded that they were just reflecting the world's harsh realities. The conversation reportedly ended with Denver storming out. According to Denver's close friend and fellow musician Glenn Campbell, John regularly prayed for heavy metal musicians, believing they were lost souls using their talents for destructive purposes. He reportedly kept a list of metal bands he hoped would find redemption through music. Denver's opposition to heavy metal went beyond personal taste. He saw it as a cultural battle for young people's souls. "When music stops inspiring hope and starts celebrating despair," he reportedly told Christianity Today in 1979, "it becomes an enemy of everything sacred." This wasn't just musical criticism. For Denver, it was spiritual warfare fought through melodies and messages. So there you have it. John Denver's surprising musical enemies revealed. Which feud shocked you most? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, smash that like button, and subscribe for more music industry secrets you never saw coming.